the law when it came to invalidating 29,000 of the 46,000 signed petitions turned in earlier this year. The ruling made by the court says of the 29,000 rejected, roughly 15,700 should have been accepted by Al Jagger. You can learn more details about the decision made by the North Dakota Supreme Court by going to our website. 2 people were injured in a motorcycle crash off of I-94 westbound in Minnesota just before the Downer exit. It happened around noon today. Sergeant Jesse Graybo with the Minnesota State Patrol says the rider and the passenger both sustained non-life-threatening injuries when, for an unknown reason, the rider lost control of the bike, causing it to leave the highway and crash into a ditch. One of the victims was airlifted from the scene and taken to an area hospital. Graybo says the crash scene was cleared by about 1 p.m. And Moorhead police are investigating an armed robbery. It happened around the bottle shop on 1st Avenue North just before 8 last night. Police said the suspect entered the business, displayed a handgun, and demanded money. No one was hurt. The suspect is about 5'8" with a skinny build. He was wearing dark pants, a gray hooded sweatshirt, and black medical mask, and fled on a blue or silver bike. This is Ty Schoner to The Flag at AM1100theflag.com. First at the news when you need to know.
Now more than ever, it's important to support companies and organizations that share our values. Patriot Mobile not only shares our beliefs, but actually does something about it. America's only Christian conservative wireless carrier. And they donate a portion of every dollar to organizations that fight for causes you care about. Switch to Patriot Mobile now. Get free activation with the code FLAGFAMILY. Switching is easy. Go to patriotmobile.com/flagfamily. patriotmobile.com/flagfamily or call 972-PATRIOT. 972-PATRIOT.
Pretty soon, they'll be in full campaign mode. Lisa Brady, Fox News. That from Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell, less than 9 weeks to the midterms.
All 50 members of the Senate on my side of the aisle are doing everything they can to find a way to help get to 51. And that's exactly what the other side's doing.
But for the next several weeks, they'll be trying to reach agreement on a short-term spending bill to avoid a government shutdown at the end of this month. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer hoping to fund the government into mid-December while also working on a longer-term package. He's also expressing faith in Attorney General Merrick Garland and the intelligence community after the raid on the former president's home in Florida. A Trump lawyer condemning ongoing leaks about documents seized and saying public confidence has been damaged. A young sheriff's deputy is now a murder suspect, surrendering to face charges in a double homicide.
24-year-old Alameda County Sheriff's Office Deputy Devin Williams Jr. turning himself in, accused of fatally shooting a married couple in their home while off duty.
This is a tragedy. We're in shock here.
Lieutenant Ray Kelly says Williams, who initially fled, later called to surrender.
This is a homicide investigation. The fact that it's a law enforcement deputy sheriff employed by our agency is a factor.
Explaining they're working with the local district attorney and will bring in another agency if there's any conflict of interest.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. Investigators in California say they're still searching for the deputy's gun and that a relative of the couple who was at the scene is a key witness. The suspect in the kidnap and killing of a Memphis mom is due back in court for a third day tomorrow. His arraignment on murder charges delayed today by a defense motion to change his attorney, but the judge did revoke the bond that had been set yesterday. America is listening to Fox News.
Every search you make, every click you take, they'll be watching you.
Are you tired of being tracked online? There's a simple solution. DuckDuckGo. It's an all-in-one privacy app with a built-in private search engine, web browser, one-click data clearing, email protection, and more, all for free. Download the app today and get the most comprehensive privacy protection with the push of a button. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
From the very beginning, and every workday since, at every shift and every individual effort, we carry a common purpose, a common cause. It's a duty we proudly honor, knowing behind every product we build is your faith in us, dedicated to the craft of gun making, dedicated to your freedom, equality, security, and the promise of this great country. Smith & Wesson, empowering Americans. Learn more at Smith-Wesson.
Hazy sunshine for this evening with a southerly wind around 10 to 20 miles an hour. That wind will lighten up tonight, although it will be a little gusty at times. Under partly cloudy skies, temperatures drop into the mid and upper 60s. For Thursday, we warm back to the mid 80s, partly cloudy to partly sunny. A few scattered showers can't be ruled out throughout the later afternoon, as well as Thursday night, with temperatures cooling back into the mid and upper 50s. From the Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
Today's weather is brought to you by Summit Carbon Solutions. The ethanol industry is critical for the North Dakota economy and our farmers. Summit Carbon Solutions is opening new economic opportunities for ethanol producers and helping maintain a strong market for corn growers while generating millions of dollars in new property taxes to help local communities support our schools and hospitals. Visit SummitCarbonSolutions.com to learn how this project is driving the future of agriculture in North Dakota.
Live from the PetroServe USA studio, it's the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free.
We start with some breaking news here. The North Dakota Supreme Court rules that the term limit measure must appear on the ballot in November. That just came out today. Breaking news. You may remember that they said Secretary of State Al Jagger suggesting, hey, these signatures are not good. This is not going to end up on the ballot. But the Supreme Court today rules that, yes, it shall be on the ballot. The measure in regards to term limits, I believe it's just for the governor and for the legislature. Now, what's fascinating, as this news broke, I had some people involved with, you may remember, the Fargo School Board recall. So I had some people involved with that start blowing up my phone and going, wait, whoa. Thank goodness that these term limit people had some cash on hand to take this thing all the way to the North Dakota Supreme Court. Their point was, I wonder if there was any funny business with the Fargo School recall situation. I'm not saying that Al Jagger had any funny business with this whole situation. All I'm suggesting to you is the fact that essentially what happened here is that Al Jagger, there was a notary person signed off on a bunch of different signatures. And so because there was a couple that Secretary of State Al Jagger questioned, he basically just threw out thousands and thousands and thousands of signatures that ended up being legit, according to the North Dakota Supreme Court. I'll share with you a quote here from the Bismarck Tribune story, and this is from Justice Jared Tufte. He wrote the opinion, and what's interesting here, I didn't notice this until just now, the opinion today was unanimous. Unanimous opinion suggesting that, hey, well, I'll read it to you. It says, hey, we conclude the Secretary of State misapplied the law by excluding signatures on the basis of a determination that a pattern of likely notary violations on some petitions permitted his invalidation of all signatures on all petitions that were sworn before the same notary. That's from, again, Justice Jared Tufte. He wrote in the unanimous opinion that came out today. So what's important for you is that now this measure will be on the ballot in November, so you will be able to vote to have term limits. I believe it's 2 terms, 8 years for the governor and for the legislature. Don't quote me on that. I haven't dived into all those details, but the important thing is this will be on the ballot. Obviously, we'll have more about that. In fact, maybe even later in the show, we're going to have Ty Schonert, a reporter here at WDAY, Flag Family Media, giving you the latest on that. He's actually conducting an interview with Jared Hendricks right now. Jared Hendricks is the person that led the charge on this ballot measure. So we'll have more on that later in the show. Also coming up in the show, this is one of those. Do you remember those? I think they were commercials where it's like, did you know? And then they would have some sort of like fun fact, like, did you know? And then there would be some other fun fact. Here's one for you. Did you know that whiteness is a bad deal and always was? Did you know that your whiteness was a bad deal and always was? That is a quote. And again, I cannot thank you enough. We've got another exclusive story coming up here on the Chris Berg Show. Thanks to you, the listeners. Many of you reaching out to the show and saying, hey, whoa. Can you look into this? Can you look into that? So I really always want to start just by saying thank you and let you know how much I and we here in the community appreciate you reaching out to us. And as Jerry Maguire would say, help us help you. Help us help you. So that's what we get to do here every single day is serve you. I bring all that up because a local parent here emailed me about some school books inside a Moorhead Elementary School and a Moorhead Middle School. And within those books, we'll get into this later in the show. I posted it on Facebook, where they talk about how whiteness is a bad deal and always was. Very important that we cover this, because then tomorrow there is a big, big education meeting in Bismarck. We'll tell you more about that. If you want to call in the show, as always, the number is 701 271 1100. Again, 701 271 1100. Also, you can always email us, studio@chrisbergshow.com. Again, that's studio@chrisbergshow.com. Thank you very much to Red Wing Shoes for that. So, again, a big thank you to you, our audience, because we had somebody that called into our Chris Berg Show hotline and left us a tip, and no one had heard about this. And so this person called in. They want to remain anonymous. I'm not going to play the voicemail for you, but person calls in and is like, hey, Chris, I'm hearing that there was a teacher over the weekend held up at Willow Park Elementary School at gunpoint. And so this person apparently was asking within the district, going, hey, was someone held up here on campus at gunpoint? They would not reveal any information. So thank you to you. We looked into it specifically. A great reporter here, Tom Tucker at WDAY Flag Family Media. He went and did the homework to get the details for you, and he joins us now live in studio with his exclusive. This is an exclusive story to Tom Tucker and Flag Family Media, the Chris Berg Show, and WDAY. So, Tom, great to see you, and thank you for the hard work, my friend.
Great to see you as well, Chris, and thanks for the invitation to get involved with this story. It's great, as you allude to, when your listeners and viewers will contact you with their questions and concerns, and then you forward these on to me. But yeah, we took this anonymous phone call yesterday afternoon, and it was interesting. In her message, she said, "quote Our administration has not let anyone know about it, nor parents, with regard to this holdup." So I thought that was pretty interesting, pretty telling. So I reached out to West Fargo Public School District, and the response I got back was, well, we're not the agency investigating this, so please contact the Fargo Police Department. We're not in a position to provide any comments on this. So I contacted Fargo Police, and they provided the following information to me. They say it was 11 o'clock Sunday morning when officers were called to Willow Park Elementary for this armed robbery that had occurred. They had received a call from a woman who explained she was unloading school supplies from her vehicle, and a man wearing a hood and a camouflage gaiter rode up on an electric bike, pulled out a gun, and he pointed the gun at her. And the suspect then asked for money, and the caller explained that because her hands were full at the time, she told the man that she needed to put the items down. And when she did that, she reached for one of the car doors. She managed to open the back passenger seat and told her son, a child, to run from the car and to run to safety at the school. And the child was able to do that. And eventually the mother joined him inside the school as well. And the robber took off. So at this point, no arrest in this case. And
so this person's still at large, correct?
This person is still on the loose. Yeah. And Fargo PD is now working to identify the suspect. Now, this morning, I received an email from a district public information officer, media representative, and she said that the Willow Park principal visited with his staff yesterday and said a note to families is planned for sometime today.
So if you are involved with the Willow Park School and you get this email, please email it on to us. So again, studio@chrisbergshow.com. Again, studio@chrisbergshow.com. Now, please keep in mind, there's two things I want you to know. Tom is a news person. He has to play it straight. Tom's also from Palm Springs. For me, growing up in Fargo, to hear that a teacher on a Sunday over Labor Day is on a elementary school campus and gets held up at gunpoint. I've said this now for quite some time when I was on TV. I'll say it again today. This is not your grandpa's Fargo anymore. For a teacher to show up on campus at an elementary school on a Sunday of Labor Day.
Broad daylight.
Thank you. Didn't even put that point in there. And to be held up at gunpoint is jaw-dropping for this community. So again, you have to play it straight. You can't really taint it anything, but anything else that you want to add that I'm not asking you think it's important for our audience to know?
I gave you pretty much all the information I have, Chris, but as a parent, as a citizen, as a human being, sure, it's troubling. It's alarming, to see this type of crime take place. I'm glad that the teacher and her son escaped unharmed. I'm a little concerned about them from an emotional standpoint, but the good news, they were not injured, and hopefully Fargo PD can get a suspect description out and arrest this guy.
And again, two things that I want our audience to just to say thank you is that I haven't seen this story anywhere else. Have you?
Not to this point.
So if it was not for somebody calling into the Chris Berg show, nobody would even know about this. Nobody would even know that there was a teacher in our community that was just held up at gunpoint on a Sunday morning in broad daylight. Now, you mentioned something about the person that held her up at gunpoint about a gator or something you said? I didn't quite follow that.
He was wearing a hood and what's described as a camouflage gaiter. I presume it's some type of clothing or
Hunting gear or something like that?
Maybe
Okay.
something to that effect. Yeah, that's my guess.
And was he on, you said, a bicycle?
On an
or-
electric bike.
I mean, that takes a lot of gall on the middle of a Sunday on an electric bike.
And these electric bikes, as you know, are pretty quiet. You can come up pretty quickly on an unsuspecting person and quickly gain the upper hand and quickly get away.
Now, obviously, this woman, I'm sure, is suffering from just some mental challenges, knowing that, hey, I'm just at school with my kid and this happens. But other than that, is everything okay with her and this young person? And
We've not been provided any details on that. All we know is that they were not injured. And they managed to get into the school safely, and that's when they called 911.
wow. Thank you so much
Sure.
for the hard work. I
Yeah,
really,
my
really
pleasure.
appreciate
Yep,
it. I mean,
yep.
so again, want to say thank you to everybody out there that's contacting us. This is how a lot of these stories are coming into fruition, and you get a chance to actually hear about them firsthand. So if you have anything else you think we should know about, and to the person, which again, Tom, I think brought up a great point. She suggested our administration, like she's part of the district, correct?
That was the implication with what she said on her voicemail message. She said, our administration has not yet notified anyone.
Wow. So for the person that called us, thank you very, very, very much. Want to remind you the number if you want to call into the Chris Berg Show tip line so we can go to work for you. Help us help you. It's 855-200-1776, and that's extension 6. So again, 855-200-1776, extension 6. And as always, you can email the show. It's studio@chrisbergshow.com if you've got any tips. And I've got another amazing story for you come up here that somebody emailed us. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. But I do want to remind you that I think it's fascinating. It was yesterday. I don't know if we had time to touch on it because, again, thank you to all the amazing callers out there. If you want to call in and just share your point of view in any of this, 701-271-1100. Just grab your phone, dial 701-271-1100. But there was a Gallup poll that came out yesterday. I posted on Facebook. I mean, the number to me was staggering. I was like, this cannot be correct, but apparently it is. 44% of parents right now fear for their child's safety as they send them off to school. They fear for their child's personal safety as they send them off to school. So when you hear about a teacher on a Sunday, on Labor Day, in broad daylight being held up at gunpoint, and this person's still at large in Fargo, North Dakota, maybe those numbers are accurate. Maybe those numbers are fair. All right, I want to share this with you because this is what we're going to be talking about in the next block. So if you want to call in and share your thoughts, we all are hearing about the CRT situation, which, by the way, there's a big meeting tomorrow in Bismarck in regards to North Dakota and CRT. I'll tell you more about that here in a moment, so please be sure and stay with us for that. So there is a book called Not My Idea, a book about whiteness that is, there's copies. I'm not saying that's mandatory reading. We're working on this. I'm not saying it's mandatory reading, but there are actually copies of this book in Moorhead at Ellen Hopkins Elementary and Horizon Middle School. Now, just to give you an idea, on one of the pages, it says, whiteness is a bad deal. It always was. Contract binding you to whiteness. I mean, it's really sad to watch what's happening in the school system these days. We've got pictures that people are sending me from the Moorhead Public Library. One of my friends was like, defund the library rather than defund the police. All right, email us, studio@chrisbergshow.com. Thanks to Red Wing Shoes. You can find out more at redwingshoes.com. Again, that's redwingshoes.com.
If you've had COVID-19 or some strain of it, you've most likely experienced cognitive dysfunction, otherwise known as brain fog. Hi, I'm Dr. Oliver Siriset, and I'm here to tell you that it is real. Brain fog isn't a medical or scientific term. It's a term used by individuals to describe how they feel after COVID. Sluggish, fuzzy, downright exhausted. For some, the brain fog lasts up to 8 months. Siriset has helped others, and we can help you. Siriset, relax, rebalance, reset.
As a business owner or operator, have you ever wondered how much money your unreliable IT network's downtime is costing you? Do you wish you had an IT professional but think you can't afford one? With managed IT services from 702 Communications, you get an entire team of IT professionals to handle all of your business IT needs, and all for much less than you think. Right now, for a limited time, 702 Communications is offering your first month of managed services free with a promo code THEFLAG. Call 702 Communications today at 218-284-5702. And our managed service team will help you find a technology solution that fits your needs and puts your mind at ease. For a limited time, call 702 Communications today at 218-284-5702 or go to 702com.com and get your first month of managed services free with promo code THEFLAG.
Do you have money in the bank or the stock market? Do you check the balance often? Why wouldn't you do the same for your biggest asset, your home? If you want to know right now what you could sell your home for in this hot market, go to fargohomevalues.com. Type in any address and find out instantly. You might be surprised how much you could get for your home. Again, that website is fargohomevalues.com, or call me, John Nasala, for a personal valuation. Find out more at jkpropertypartners.com.
The fertile soil and wide open skies make our corner of Minnesota unique. But our people make it truly special. We're hardworking folks doing our best to raise a family, grow a business, or support our community. And Dan Bomer is one of us. He's a lifelong resident of the Red River Valley, a career veteran of the Army and National Guard, and 2 of his sons have served in uniform. Dan understands skyrocketing costs are hurting us. Whether buying groceries, gas, or school supplies, we're feeling the squeeze of soaring prices. Dan Bomer will stand up to the liberal metro politicians and fight to beat rising costs. By holding government accountable, cutting taxes, and growing our local economy, Dan Bomer is one of us. That's why Dan Bomer is fighting for our families. Learn more at stateofgreatmn.org. Prepared and paid for by the Coalition of Minnesota Businesses.
Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose. We are your daily dose of truth to help set you free. So much going on right now. I know sometimes it's difficult to keep up with all of it, and that's why you got to just join us just an hour a day. It's your little daily dose of truth to help set you free. I want to remind you, because there is a lot of it happening right now, lots of mental health challenges taking place. If you're someone who maybe you just don't feel like yourself, dealing with long COVID, anxiety, depression, whatever it might be, she's actually going to join us in the next segment, Dr. Alla. But I want to remind you about Siriset of Fargo. They're getting some incredible results for people that just aren't getting a good night's sleep, struggling with depression, struggling with anxiety. The number to call there for a free consultation. Again, you go there for like an hour, you take a nap. It's really easy. 701-566-5231. 701-566-5231. If you want to call into the show, and guys, I know that the phone's been ringing. I apologize. Slack's not up. So if you want to call into the show, the number is 701-271-1100. Again, 701-271-1100. I want to dive into this. Again, thank you to everybody that's been contacting us. But here's what's going on in Moorhead. And this is apparently these books are available at, and I guess what I want to ask you about is why? Like, I don't know if you remember this, but a while back we had a student on from Fargo North. And I remember him saying, like, we go into class every day and these teachers are doing things almost purposefully to divide us and to create division. And it just didn't register with me. I was like, wait, what are you talking about? Why? And then the more that I'm talking to more parents and seeing what's happening within these schools, you just see that it's so abundantly clear. And I guess my question for you today is, number one, why? Why are they focused on our kids to try and create this division? And two, obviously, how do you feel about it? I mean, it's incredible some of the emails I get from parents out there about what's going on inside the schools that many of us have got simply no idea. I've got some pictures up from the Moorhead Public Library, and I sent them to some friends, and they're like, defund the library. They were always saying, hey, defund the police. Now you maybe have the hashtag defund the library just because of what's going on. So, all right, number to call into the show. Okay, good. This is right now. 701-271-1100. 701-271-1100. Super producer Chris Larson is on line one. Super producer Chris Larson, what's your point of view?
Well, Chris, I just ran across some breaking news that would probably excite some NDSU Bison football fans. They just announced, the NCAA just announced that the FCS National Championship is going to move to Sunday afternoon instead of playing on Saturday mornings now, beginning with this year. So excited to see that.
Thank you very much for that breaking news. So it sounds like the FCS title game will now be on Sundays. I think that is an open weekend, if I'm not mistaken, because there's kind of that break between maybe the wild card game for the playoffs or whatnot, or maybe it's a week before the playoffs. But either way, if you've got some college football and some NFL, it's going to be a very, very big Sunday. All right, so I want to get back to what's happening, because tomorrow in Bismarck, if you're someone who's concerned, and we've all seen, at least we've talked about it here on the show, about the teacher in Grand Forks that quit because he was concerned about CRT being taught in the schools. So he sent in his resignation. He was concerned about CRT being taught in the schools. And you may remember in this past special session, Representative Jim Casper sort of led the charge on this, but North Dakota said, hey, you can't do that. You can't teach CRT in our schools, and yet many schools are continuing to do that. Now, I'm going to give you some specific examples in Moorhead in a moment, so I know that's not North Dakota, but my point to you, if you're someone like, look, I have to do what I can to stop this, there's a meeting tomorrow. It's in Bismarck, 9:30 a.m. I believe it's an open hearing with North Dakota DPI, but it's going to be in the Peace Garden Room at the state capitol in Bismarck. So again, 9:30 a.m. in Bismarck. Representative Jim Casper called into the Scott Hennon show earlier today and said he's hearing buses are going to be heading to this meeting. So if you want to be a part of that and join in, please do so. Okay, speaking of CRT and what's happening in our schools. Again, this is an elementary school and a middle school that I'm about to share with you. In Moorhead, book is called Not My Idea, a book about whiteness. Why? Why divide us based on color? What's the point? Why even have the book in there if it's going to just create division between you and me and our kids based on the color of our skin? I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I mean, it's like MLK. I want to live in a country where I'm not judged on the color of my skin, but the content of my character, right? So anyways, here's what's inside this book. One of the pages says, whiteness is a bad deal. It always was. Whiteness is a bad deal. It always was. Then on the very next page, there's a contract. It says contract binding you to whiteness. You get check stolen land, check stolen riches, check special favors. Whiteness gets to mess endlessly with the lives of your friends, neighbors, loved ones, and all fellow humans of color. Wow. For the purpose of profit. Check. It says also whiteness gets your soul. And then there's a place where you can actually sign below in the book. Land, riches, and favors may be revoked at any time for any reason. So you're signing off, basically signing away your whiteness. Again, this is a book, and I'm going to put it up here for the people viewing on the live stream here. But this is a book that's in Moorhead elementary and middle schools. Not suggesting it's mandatory reading. We have not confirmed that. I don't believe it is. All we know is that it's actually there. I got this from a parent. But why in the world would there be a book in an elementary school that has a contract that binds you to your whiteness and talks about you getting your soul taken away, messing endlessly with the lives of your friends, neighbors, loved ones, all for the purpose of profit? That's disturbing if you're an elementary student having to deal with that in your psyche. So we posted this on Facebook earlier today. A lot of people sharing, obviously, their reactions, but I also would remind you that a lot of the same things are happening in the Moorhead Public Library as well. Person saw this and they started sending me a bunch of pictures from the Moorhead Public Library. You know, one of the books is Daddy and Dada. Another book in the Fargo Public Library talks about beauty woke. When we say Black Lives Matter, like everything. Our kids are just surrounded by, hey, let's divide and separate, divide and conquer. Kathy says a bunch of woke books should not even be in the public. Lydia says, of course, there's a display with the opposite viewpoint too, correct? Yeah, okay, sure. Tashi says more division in order to control the people. And maybe that's the answer. Maybe that's why they're doing all this, is that they know, hey, just what I said, if you can divide and conquer, then you can control. If you can divide and conquer, then you can control. Great point here as well. Somebody says, look, no one's born a racist. It's a learned thing. You're not born a racist. It becomes learned. So why are we putting it down young people's minds and throats? Deborah says CRT being taught in Minnesota, all need to get involved in your school district now. David says, hey, as long as it isn't required reading, it shouldn't be a big deal. It's a book. Don't like it? Don't read it. Which I think, there's some validity to that. I'm always one of those people that's going to say, look, I'm going to defend your freedom of speech no matter what. Till my death, I will defend your right to say whatever you want to say. The point is that if this book came out and said any other race, I'm not going to say it out loud because it's so disgusting, but any other race is a bad deal. It always was. I mean, people would be up in arms. But because they want to denigrate your heritage, no big deal. No problem. If they want to denigrate you because you were born with the color of your skin being white, doesn't matter. Then it's fine. Sarah goes on to say, hey, this is what you call indoctrination. That's exactly what it is. They want to indoctrinate people to feel bad about their heritage. We've talked about this many times before in the show. Why in the world are we not doing more to have a education system that actually supports patriotism, the love of our country? And dare I say out loud right now on the radio in 2022, why would we not have an education system that wants to teach our young people about making America great again? I think that's a great idea. All right, I want to remind you as you watch what's going on, Sarah goes on to say it's about devaluing, dehumanizing, power, control, separate children from parents. I mean, it's really, really frightening stuff when you see it. Want to remind you about what's happening these days within the markets. Who really knows? We'll find out here in September what the Federal Reserve is going to do as far as rates. Sounds like they're going to raise them again. My point in all this is do yourself a favor, get yourself educated about decentralized finance. One of the best ways you can do that, reach out to Patrick at thereaper.io. Again, that's Patrick, Patrick, Patrick at the Reaper, REAPER, thereaper.io.
Hazy sunshine for this evening with a southerly wind around 10 to 20 miles an hour. That wind will lighten up tonight, although it will be a little gusty at times. Under partly cloudy skies, temperatures drop into the mid and upper 60s. For Thursday, we warm back to the mid 80s, partly cloudy to partly sunny. A few scattered showers can't be ruled out throughout the later afternoon, as well as Thursday night, with temperatures cooling back into the mid and upper 50s. From the Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
They are detectives, investigators, school resource officers and deputies, state attorneys, jail chaplains, beat cops, and canine handlers. They are the honorees of the Luther Family Ford Salute to Law Enforcement. Everyone at Luther Family Ford says thank you to the men and women who protect and serve our community. They deserve our support, our encouragement, and our thanks. So thank you to all of you who protect and serve us. From Luther Family Ford and AM 1100 The Flag, WZFG.
Jerry Breyer is here, the generous one from Gold Silver Exchange Grand Forks. Let's talk about why precious metals are so very valuable right now.
Well, many financial advisors are recommending that we buy gold and silver now. And with all the advertising you see on TV with the gold and silver, we can match and beat any of those prices. We recommend you load up on silver and gold while there's a good supply. At some point, the supply is going to get very short. And if you're not here early, you may have to be on a waiting list for some time, like we were the last time in 2011 and 12.
Call Jerry and his team. They can be trusted. You don't want to be dealing with somebody you don't know over the phone, from a TV commercial. Give them a call, 701-746-9952, or online too at Gold Silver Exchange. Tell them Scott sent you to Gold Silver Exchange Grand Forks.
Fix it forward auto care. The name you trust for car repair.
When your car breaks down, it can be a huge inconvenience. Our team at Fix It Forward understands that the longer you have to wait, the more difficult it can be. That's why we promise to get you in fast with after-hours key drop, free loaner cars with repairs, and text quotes. Just approve your repair with a touch of a button and pick up when ready. Fix It Forward Auto Care, the name you trust for car repair.
Fix it forward auto care.
Man, I slept.
New ZzzQuil Pure Z's Restorative Herbal Sleep is made for people who are tired of being tired.
I've never slept like this before. I've never woken up like this before.
A melatonin-free sleep aid made with a botanical blend that contains clinically studied and effective valerian root, hops, and passion flower, shown to help promote better restorative sleep. ZzzQuil Pure Z's Restorative Herbal Sleep. Sleep this good, feel this good. Available at retailers near you.
Dak Prescott here. Why do I choose proven quality sleep from Sleep Number? Because better sleep elevates my game. Only my Sleep Number 360 smart bed helps me fall asleep faster, keeps me cool, and effortlessly adjusts for my best sleep. The result? 28 minutes more restful sleep a night. That's more focus, more edge, and more highlights. And that means more wins for all of us.
Don't miss the final days of the biggest sale of the year. Save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the NFL.
Hi, Lacey here with Precision Concrete Cutters. You've heard our ads about egress windows. They add sunlight, they provide an escape and add value to your home. All true, but I'd like to let you in on a little secret. You can add an egress window anywhere, even if there's no existing window. I know this because at Precision Concrete Cutters, we specialize in egress window installation and replacement. Precision Concrete Cutters, 701-280-7038. That's 280-7038.
Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free. It is a Wellness Wednesday. We talk about freedom here on the show every single day, and one of the key things to being free, in my opinion, is also health freedom, getting yourself educated about, hey, what can I do to improve my health and vitality? Because right now, there may not be a more important time in the history of mankind to ensure that you are thinking clearly and accurately, and with discernment and wisdom, because we all know we are in a huge spin cycle every single day when it comes to the news. That's why we want you to tune in and get your daily dose of truth. But when you're in this spin cycle and you got so much stuff coming at you, it can be a bit stressful, especially when the government continues to pound just fear, 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 fear. It can stress people out. And so what do you do to combat stress? That's a really tough question to answer for some people. One of the places that's doing a great job to combat stress and helping people overcome it, deal with it better, is Siriset of Fargo. We talk about it a lot here on the show. I had a chance to do it. It was fantastic for me. So if you're anybody who's dealing with stress, anxiety, just not sleeping well, we've got a special Wellness Wednesday for you with Dr. Alla Lysick. She's joining us in the studio. Dr. Alla, it's great to see you. Welcome back to the show.
I appreciate that.
So let's chat about stress. I mean, there's so... I'm going to have you just sort of take the floor because you're in your office every single day. I'm assuming a lot of people coming in and just talking about it. And I'm stressed out. I don't know what to do.
Right. So stress is normal. You're supposed to have it. That's what grows and stretches you. It's when it gets to a point where it's tipping into the distress state is when it becomes problematic. That's a chronic version of stress that's not being actually adapted to or accommodated in. And so people then are going to start to have physical ailments. They're going to have changes in their mentality, their mental state. They're going to feel overwhelmed. A lot of people will complain of things like brain fog. They'll be like, I just can't concentrate. Happens to kids too. Happens to adults, and it certainly happens to our elderly. So stress is a normal response to an environmental or internal perturbation or kind of influencer. It's how you adapt. That's the key.
So then how do you effectively adapt?
Some people can adapt through using tools in their little toolbox. They may exercise. They may change their dietary intake and eat right. Others may meditate. Some people have, very strong spiritual ways of being able to move through it, but not all do. Those folks tend to turn to things like alcohol, like drugs. Those people tend to turn maybe to a pharmaceutical prescription, hoping that that's the way to fix it. But ultimately, you've got to get to the root. Whatever started it has to be the place where you find your freedom, if you will. So Cereset has been a game changer for people with stress because that's when you truly lose your faculties, you truly lose your focus, you truly lose some of those skills that you've been given about, being able to keep your emotions in check, keep your body in check when stress comes your way and not get distressed and sick because of it. So sickness comes many ways. People in stress can have dysregulated bellies. Their gut doesn't work. They're in the toilet all day long. People with, distress or stress that's been chronic can have pain, right? They can deal with chronic pain. And I always say pain is in your brain. Once you've had an injury, the body repairs. But if you're still stuck with the imprint of that event and there's an emotional connection, that's happening in your brain. And that's where you have to get to the root of it. And that's what Cereset does. It helps your brain recognize those patterns that have been established that we call workarounds in light of not dealing with something that you should have resolved long ago.
So if you're just joining us, the Wellness Wednesday, Dr. Olive from Sarasota Fargo is joining us, and we're talking about how do you deal with stress? How do you deal with stress? I think one of the key things is you said, hey, Chris, stress is normal, but when does it get to a point where it's too much? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, okay, so I can deal with some stress, but when does it get to a point? What should I be looking for? I'm like, okay, I need to at least go see a counselor, go to Cereset. I need some help.
Well, the first sign is when you are stuck in your typical routine where you just can't execute like you normally would do, where you are emotionally taxed, when you're snappy, when you're withdrawn, when you've decided to have that silent day where you don't want to correspond. It's when you don't want to get out of bed. A lot of people think just not getting out of bed is all based only on depression. No, it's based on sometimes just being stuck, stalled, or, stuck. And people need to realize that it's those signs that they have to pay attention to. When you're sitting at work and you're a typically organized person and you just can't get your ducks in a row and you're shuffling through your day and, ending your day on a note of just despair and nothing happened. Nothing happened. Typical day, but you are creating an emotional windup based on most of the time nothing. That's a state of distress.
You talked about this brain frog. How much are you seeing that, and what do you
Oh my
attribute it to? Because
goodness.
there's days where I'm like myself, I can't pull the word out, or it's really weird and it's new for me.
Right now, the biggest, newest complaint of people stating that sentence of "I think I have brain fog" is post-COVID, long COVID. We're seeing a lot of that. I'm just seeing a tremendous amount of it. People are like, something went wrong after I got COVID. And they are feeling like they can't organize their thinking. It's not their thoughts. It's organizing how they want to execute their life. That once it was just automatic and they're like, I have to stop and think about every little thing. I have to retrieve the name of something I'm trying to reference, even though it's my daughter. What in the world? And there are no other signs that may be related to, in that scenario, dementia or something that's more of a chronic deteriorative disease process. But they're just like, I'm losing some of my faculty, but it comes back when I'm rested, or it comes back when I'm no longer in a distress scenario. So it's very dynamic depending on what they are confronted by. And it's typically some sort of stressor that puts them over the edge faster.
So what are you doing then to help people with that?
First of all, identify the source, right? Because maybe it is a neurodegenerative disease and we have to get them to the right people, the right authorities to check that out. Secondly, asking if there's been something recent that has troubled them or disgruntled them or has put them out of their typical normative day. And if it is really nothing that they can pinpoint, then we talk about long-term stress. We know that the last 3 years have been pretty tough for what we as Americans know. It's not it's not that tapestry of America we knew. It changed somewhere along the line. And what it did is at different segments of that 3-year period, it hit people differently. Some it hit right away. Some got caught up into that, political conversation that should be there, but sometimes it gets overboard and they got emotionally attached to it and they didn't know how to detach. That's the key ingredient to being a robust human being, is to be able to detach when you need to detach and put consciousness when it's due. When it becomes just all emotionally driven, the body can only handle it for so long.
And it starts to just shut down.
Of course it does. You start to get stressed out muscles. You start to sleep inappropriately. Your energy level is shot. You can't think as clearly and grab information as fast. You're emotionally labile. You're biting at things that don't even, require an emotional context. And of course, you may just be not handling stress the way you once handled it. You're no longer able to handle it. And that's where Serious comes in.
So talk about that. How does Sirsa then help me get rid of brain fog or get rid of, or at least dissipate the stress?
When we are confronted by anything in our life, we create patterns and our brain wires to that. So whatever we repeat, if we repeat an emotional event over and over, we wire to it. It hardwires to it. So when it wires to whatever we're repeating or whatever we're confronted by or whatever we're reading, learning, being influenced by, the brain has to adapt to that and it becomes its new loop. That doesn't mean it's the right loop for you. It may be the one that is causing you to have a state where you no longer feel like yourself. Serious allows your brain in real time to look at those patterns that have been established that are energy dependent. And it allows that brain innately, the way it was designed, to find its way back to a resting state where the brain works optimally. When the brain works optimally, just like your phone, your computer, your hair dryer, your washing machine, the way that they were designed to operate, that's when you have success.
I got 30 seconds. So if people want to go see you, it's a free consultation, right?
Yep, they give us a call. We chat on the phone a little bit to make sure Serious is the right next best step. Then we go into a Serious introductory session where we gather the baseline of the brain. Simple, non-invasive, non-painful. They sit in a chair. It takes a 2-minute process to capture that data. We sit down with the client, review that data, and then we give them, the true feedback of real time. Perhaps Serious is the next best step to help them get their life back.
Number there again, 701-566-5231. It's a free consultation. So just call them, 701-566-5231. It's a Wellness Wednesday with Dr. Alla at Serious at Fargo. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Stick around. We come back. We'll talk about the North Dakota Supreme Court decision made today about November. Very, very important. Stay with us.
A new season of Rides with Jay Thomas begins this Saturday on KVLY. We're hosting a watch party at Three Lines Pub in West Fargo from 4 to 6 p.m. Thanks to Three Lines Pub and Dave's Classics in Fargo, we'll be enjoying great food and drinks. Three Lines has some new menu items: mac and cheese Southwest chicken bites, mac and cheese white cheddar and bacon bites. Other specials going on as well: $20 domestic pitcher and wings, $3.50 Bloodies and Caesars. Sam Adams Oktoberfest on tap. Join us for the Rides watch party this Saturday at Three Lines Pub, 13th Avenue, Southwest Fargo. Thanks to Dave's Classics and KVLY.
Download the app, sign up, and say bye-bye, bugs. Tommy's Express Car Wash is that easy. Tommy's offers a cleaner car wash and an overall better experience. Wash your car as often as needed. And the best part, after 3 washes, it pays for itself, and you can use it at all 3 other FM locations. Download the app, pre-buy, and skip the line. Or stop by one of their 3 locally owned Tommy's Express Car Wash locations. Tommy's Express Car Wash. Love your ride.
Some big news. Tucked away in Joe Biden's Inflation Reduction Act was over $80 billion for the IRS to hire 87,000 new employees. That means thousands of new IRS agents, almost doubling the size of the IRS. Bloomberg reports this means more IRS audits on taxpayers like you. All this week, Rob Schmidt on Newsmax takes on this new IRS army and the dangers to you, your money, and your freedom. Watch Rob Schmidt every night, 6 p.m. Central on Newsmax. He's not afraid to take on big government. Rob exposes their power grab and shows you how to fight back. I watch Newsmax. You should too. Tune in to Newsmax tonight for Rob Schmidt, plus Greta Van Susteren, Eric Bolling, and a lot more on America's trusted cable news channel. Find Newsmax on all major cable systems. If your system doesn't carry it, call them. Tell them you want Newsmax. And watch Rob Schmidt tonight. Remember, Newsmax is real news for real people.
Did you know that periodontal disease is the #1 health problem in small animal patients? Hello, I'm Dr. Calderwood, a veterinary dental practitioner at Prairie Winds Veterinary Center. By 2 years of age, 80% of dogs and 70% of cats have some form of periodontal disease. If you notice a change in your pet's playful habits, breath, or facial swelling, there's a chance that your pet is suffering from mouth pain. Prairie Winds Veterinary Center can help. Call us at 701-356-5600 or learn more at prairiewindsvet.com.
Save big on your next project at Menards. Protect and maintain your wood surfaces with Minwax stains and finishes. They offer a variety of easy-to-use products that provide a beautiful, rich finish, lasting for years to come. The fast dry time means you can start and finish your project in just a day. Get 11% off all Minwax products. Good through September 11th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Welcome back. We started the show with some breaking news that's going to impact you coming up for the November election. The ballot measure, North Dakota Supreme Court comes out today and says, hey, this ballot measure thing about term limits, it's actually good. This thing should be on the ballot come November. Secretary of State Al Jaeger had dismissed it, saying a bunch of the signatures were no good. That obviously was changed today. So WDAY Flag Family reporter Ty Sherner had a chance to visit with Jared Hendricks, the person that was really behind this measure that was going to get put on the ballot, and he's joining us now live in studio. Ty, great to see you. So I guess first, just as a news person, your assessment of this decision, and then I think you've got some clips from Jared for us.
Yes, I do. So this decision was interesting because it was more based on the fact that the person that was kind of in the center of all this, his name was Zeph Toe, and he was kind of the person that was making sure these signatures were good, making sure they were all validated. Some of those signatures were suspicious at the very least, and sometimes there was accusations of fraud in them as well. Now, some of those signatures were the contestant, and that was the reason why Al Jaeger basically said, we're not dealing with this. We're going to get rid of all these signatures. That's a big deal, and that doesn't really happen, and that was kind of what the court talked about, is that we don't just strike all these signatures when only a few of them are really the suspicious ones. And so when it came back, there was roughly 15,740 signatures that were struck out from Al Jaeger that were reinstated and recounted and retabulated and were good signatures still. And so that's a lot of signatures that were just struck out because Zeph Toe was the person who was kind of supposed to authorize the signatures beforehand, and that some of them were deemed suspicious and some of them were also somewhat deemed fraudulent as well.
Couple things. So you just said over 15,000 signatures, correct? They were those. So just for our audience, those were thrown out. Zeph Toe's the notary.
Correct.
But he's got a history with the state. So in the past, he had done things correctly, done things well. And I think that was part of where the Supreme Court was like, hey, this guy's pretty good. He's not some just off the street dude.
Yeah, and so Jared, he talked about this. If you guys wanted to play audio 2 real quick, this is where Jared talks about the assertion made by the court as well. one sec, I guess. But yeah, it essentially talks about how the Jared essentially was like, okay, this is kind of strange how they're really contesting this assertion that some of the signatures that basically what I said, some of the signatures that were seen kind of strange, seemed kind of weird, were kind of having problems.
Let me see if okay, let's hit it, guys. Hit it.
Of those signatures notarized by Mr. Toe were signatures of otherwise valid North Dakota electors, actual people who signed the petition. Their signatures were checked. They were otherwise acceptable by the Secretary's office.
And it was because it was Zeph Toe that was the person who notarized them was the problem that Al Jaeger had, is essentially what the court found. And when it comes to Hendricks, the big person in all this, he's like, this is not just like important for our case, but this is important for cases for any ballot measure that comes up, because if Al Jaeger can just strike down anything because he doesn't like how it smells, basically, then it's not going to go through. That's a big problem, according to what Hendricks said. And that's kind of the assertion here that's going to come from this, is that you're not just going to it's not just going to be a thing that the Secretary of State will just agree or disagree with, that there's going to be a proper procedure in place.
Now, look, keep in mind, he's a news guy, okay? So I'm going to let you wrap up, but just give me a minute, because there's something I want to say outside of Utah, because I don't want to tie you into my opinion on something. But so is there anything else you want to add to this?
That's essentially it. There's another quote if you wanted to as well that kind of talks, it's a very small quote, nothing too intense, but kind of describing the incident as well, if you guys wanted to play that too.
Most importantly, I think it's good not only for our measure, because obviously we hope our measure to pass, but it's also good for any ballot measure.
And that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, with the ballot measure being not just this one, but any other one that wants to come forward as well.
Ty Schoenert, great reporter here at WDAY Radio and Flag Family Media. Thank you for the updates here. I really, really appreciate it very, very much.
Thank you very much.
Again, Ty, straight news, so I don't want to time into this, but I want to share this with you. I think this is important to know. What Ty's, he's not saying this, but you can obviously make this speculation, is the fact that, hey, Al Jaeger's like, something about this doesn't smell right. I'm going to get rid of 15,000 signatures. So one man made a decision to get rid of 15,000 signatures where this potentially would not have been on the ballot if Jared didn't have the money and the resources to ensure that, hey, we're going to take this all the way to the North Dakota Supreme Court. Now it is going to be back on the ballot. My point is, again, I'm not saying that Secretary of State Jaeger did this. My point is that there is the possibility, and this is why we need some sort of checks and balances, there is the possibility for that position, that office, to be weaponized. If you didn't like a particular ballot, you didn't like what was like, you could legitimately, not now, but you could have weaponized it if Jared didn't have the resources to take this thing all the way to the Supreme Court. Thus, I say all this because earlier today when this decision came out, a lot of people were blowing up my phone going, I wonder if any of this happened with the Fargo School Board recall. Was there any possibility that, hey, they just didn't like the recall, and so they just said, we're going to throw out a bunch of signatures, we're going to play chess here, we'll see if you guys have any money to, appeal this decision, to take anything to court, really see the veracity of what we're throwing out. Again, I'm not suggesting that's what happened. All I'm saying is, who knows? No one even really looked at those Fargo School Board recall, that situation, because from what I'm told, the people that were part of the recall weren't even in the room when the school board was looking at all those SIGs. Remind you of anything in recent election history? It's just one of the things you want to be privy of. Look, politics is dirty. Again, I'm not saying anything was doing anything wrong here in Fargo or Secretary of State Al Jaeger. You just have to understand the possibilities in the game of chess and the game of politics. That's why you want to dot your I's and cross your T's. Ty, great job. We appreciate it, man, very, very much.
Thank you.
All right, we got a great show in store for you tomorrow right here on the Chris Berg Show. As always, we're going to have open phone time for you. Number to call in, 701-271-1100. Tomorrow, 4 p.m. right here on the Chris Berg Show.